Dim the lights, settle in, and prepare yourself for stories that will haunt your dreams and send shivers down your spine. Here at Tombstone Tales, we delve into the darkest corners of the internet, unearthing chilling stories of the supernatural, the unexplained, and the downright terrifying. From shadowy figures lurking in the night to sinister secrets buried deep in forgotten history, each episode is crafted to immerse you in a world of fear and fascination. Hit that subscribe button, join our community of thrill seekers, and embark on a journey where every whisper could be a warning and every shadow a threat. Are you ready to face your fears? Then let the story time begin. Hey folks, just a quick one. This story by Rosalind is more of a funny story rather than my usual creepypasta. I hope you enjoy it as much as I have. My mother is an interesting person who embraced everything she set her heart and mind on to the fullest extent. Unlike many others who are token Christians and believe that going to a Sunday service is all that is required to earn eternal life, my mother was definitely not a token Christian. She was a warrior. Never one to take life for granted or the spiritual welfare of others lightly. She would thrust herself into battle against the forces of darkness whenever a situation arose. One of the roles my mother took very seriously was to take on all creatures great and small, whether they be in this realm or another. She constantly warned us about the dark spiritual forces who lurked around, ready to possess the sinner who gave in to their wicked desires, including our pets. Tucked away in our backyard were half a dozen chickens and 2 pugs, one named Sharna and one named Popeye, who was named that for obvious reasons. Sharna was an elderly plump pug inclined to laziness, while Popeye was very cute but just plain insane. He spent a considerable amount of time chasing shadows of various kinds and occasionally scoring when he managed to sneak up on an unsuspecting visitor to pee on their legs. Admittedly, it was very difficult to maintain eye contact with visitors when Popeye was on the prowl. We also had a very bad cat named Taffy, who earned her name for being a thief and generally a psychopath, but I will leave Taffy's exploits for another time. Back to Mother and her passion for seeing demons in all creatures great and small. If a person or an animal displayed any kind of behavior Mother found abhorrent, she quickly deduced that they were obviously afflicted by some kind of demonic attachment. Our next-door neighbor, who was an elderly man, was afflicted by a stalker spirit, and often we found him patrolling his fence line that adjoined our house. He was a rather grotesque-looking individual who rarely wore a shirt, so we were subjected to his aging, semi-naked, hairy body on numerous occasions because he insisted on peering through the bushes or standing next to the fence so he could listen to our conversations while he watered his garden. We put up with his stalker-type activities as he was obviously bored and quite harmless. Mother would occasionally give him the evil eye, and he would scurry off to the safety of his house. She had bigger issues to sort out, such as her suspicion that Sharna the pug was becoming possessed by a spirit of greed. There was a battle going on in the backyard. It was Sharna and Popeye versus the hens for who was going to eat the leftover food scraps. The hens were like voracious raptors and devoured everything in sight, and the pugs were no match because it was 6 hens against 2 pugs, and numbers count. Sharna, who was happy to do battle for food scraps, was not happy to do battle over her dog biscuits with the voracious raptor hens who, as soon as they spotted her dinner, would come charging down and bully her until Sharna gave up and walked off in disgust. The battle went on daily, and Sharna was becoming utterly fed up with the hens' shenanigans and decided to take matters into her own mouth. Now, having a flat face does make it hard for a pug to do battle, but that was not going to put Sharna off. She was fed up to the teeth with those blasted chickens, and it was now war. Now, it would have been the sensible thing to separate hens from pugs at dinner time, but our mother firmly believed that everyone must share their food and be kind and generous to one another. Therefore, dogs and hens must cooperate, or there would be hell to pay. Sharna did not agree with this rule and decided to take action by dragging the offending hen by the wing away from her food bowl. As one hen was dragged off, the other hens rushed in and ate her dinner. Poor Sharna could not take it, and the battle was on. Chickens were rushed at, feathers went flying, and Popeye chased those feathers everywhere. completely oblivious to the war being played out by his wife. Mother spotted the war going on outside the kitchen window and immediately went outside to break up the war. She loudly warned Sharna to stop her violence and then lectured her about sharing her food. After all, Sharna was inclined to participate in eating the hen's scraps whenever we threw them out into the garden. This battle was now happening daily, and Mother was starting to suspect that something very sinister was going on that we could not see. So we sat down at the table to have a discussion over the whole sordid affair. The window was wide open, and as usual our stalker neighbor, who we had nicknamed Poopy, was at the fence listening to our conversation. We discussed the war going on in our backyard, and Mother had come to the conclusion that Sharna the pug had been possessed by the spirit of greed. She announced to my brother and me that we must do everything in our power to remove this evil spirit from the dog before she became completely feral and turned on us. To be honest, my brother and I were not frightened of being mauled by an aging pug, and to tell the truth, we both felt bad for Sharna. We were secretly cheering for her and enjoyed watching the elderly pug do battle with the hens. But we never let that information out just in case Mother thought we too were possessed by something sinister. Decision made, Mother decided she must do battle with the vile spirit of greed that possessed our pug to restore balance and harmony to our backyard. She resolved to keep a close watch on the chicken versus pug war and commanded us to do the same. As I said before, my brother and I were secretly cheering for the pugs. So we were not inclined to inform Mother when we had fed the animals, as we both enjoyed watching the war that went on daily. Neither hen nor pug was harmed, and it was always entertaining to see who was going to outwit whom. One afternoon, my brother and I stood at the kitchen window and watched the war, while Poopy stood on his side of the fence in the backyard and pretended to water his garden. He, too, was obviously entertained by the backyard antics of our animals. Mother came home from her work as a music teacher and spotted us as she walked into the kitchen, staring out the window. "What's going on?" she called out, giving my brother and me the evil eye. With that, she walked up to the kitchen window, looked out, and saw Sharna dragging a hen by her wing away from her food bowl. Incensed by such an evil sight, Mother got a steely look on her face, turned and glared at us. Then, like lightning, she rushed out of the kitchen, down the hallway, through the laundry, out the back door, and took one mighty leap with her arms thrust out and forward as she sprung at Sharna and yelled, "Begone, you evil spirit of greed!" Sharna was not letting go of that wing. The hen was refusing to be dragged away from the bowl. Popeye was spinning around in excitement like a demented spinning top, and Poopy, who was holding his garden hose, got the fright of his life and managed to water himself as the stream of water shot up into the air. My brother and I grinned like Cheshire cats as we struggled with not falling into fits of hysterical laughter, as that was a deadly sin. We watched on as Mother proceeded to try and separate Sharna and the hen, who were now locked in battle over the dog biscuits. Finally, after scrambling around on her hands and knees and demanding the evil spirit leave, she managed to overcome the spirit of greed, separate the offending animals, and tell Poopy, who was stumbling around in his garden, that it served him right for being a nosy neighbor. I am not sure if Mother really succeeded in removing Sharna's spirit of greed, but she did manage to quell Poopy's stalker spirit, as he managed to control his prying into our backyard for at least a good couple of weeks. After much negotiation with Mother, my brother and I managed to convince her that Sharna, being old and set in her ways, might well have to live with her spirit of greed and therefore should be fed separately from now on.